if you look at images of Bodhidharma, he's always depicted with bulging eyes with no eyelids. In fact, Bodhidharma looks very scary. His picture can be used to scare children. He does not look like a serene, peaceful monk. He almost looks like a madman. The story is, Bodhidharma not only brought Zen to China, he also brought tea. Now, when people discovered that tea actually helps them to stay awake, it became an integral part of the meditative culture of China. Tea became spiritual. It was looked at by the monks who were practicing meditation as something that helps them to stay awake. So the story goes that Bodhidharma once fell asleep during his meditation, and he hated that so much that he cut off his eyelids and threw it down. Now, wherever his eyelids fell, the tea plants grew there. That is why, to honor that, he's always depicted with bulging eyes with no eyelids. It's just a way of saying that he brought wakefulness. That was his message. And how did he bring it? He did not bring it with a religious baggage. Bodhidharma spoke about meditation not as a practice, not as a method, but as a direct experience. In fact, his whole approach for understanding the Buddha is to deny everything that is not you. His central message is, understand your true nature. Who are you? What is the essence of your being? Everything else you do on the outside is useless. Now, he spoke about Buddha's teachings, but he was also talking to those people who had turned Buddha's teachings into religious rituals. So throughout his teachings, he tries to help people understand how they can directly connect with Buddha if they drop worshipping him. He offers a path that does not require any belief. It does not require any great trust in the Buddha. That is why Zen has that fragrance of purity. Although it is talking about meditation, it is a branch of Buddhism. When you talk about Zen, you don't talk about Buddhism at all. You don't talk about worship. You don't talk about going to the temple. You don't talk about enlightening everybody around you before you become enlightened. You don't talk about postponement. You don't talk about karma. You don't talk about consequences of your action. None of that. In fact, Zen doesn't say anything about Zen. It is said that to say anything about Zen is to have said too much. Because if your true nature is pure mind, pure perception, it is to recognize the mirror-like quality of your mind, then anything you add to that mirror, anything you add to that mind is a distraction. Even understanding Zen is a distraction. Even trying to know how it works, why does it work, is all a deviation. You have to be in a certain state of mind to understand Zen, because it does not provide philosophical explanations on why you should embrace Zen, how it transforms you. It directly uses life, the movement of life, the movement of existence, nature, to show that everything is already enlightened. Bodhidharma says you are already a Buddha. Everything around you is already filled with Buddha nature. You only have to see it. You can see the Buddha in a flowing stream, in the movement of clouds, in the flapping of the wings of a butterfly. It is said that Zen is the sound of clapping of one hand. Now, how do you understand this? How can there be any sound if you clap just one hand? Now, that is Zen. Zen both is and isn't at the same time. If you're truly practicing Zen, if you're truly in tune with Zen, you are not in Zen. The whole method is to destroy the mind that is filled with thoughts, so that you can finally settle with the pure essence that is the mind itself. Now, the general idea of the mind is messy, it is noisy, it is chaotic, it's confusing. You need to move away from the mind and find something entirely different to become enlightened. Now, this is the language that is used in Hinduism, this is the language used in Kabbalah, this is the language used in Sufism. Almost all spiritual traditions talk about mind as the main problem. And you have to move away from the mind in order to experience life directly. But Bodhidharma flips this whole thing upside down. He says you can never experience enlightenment outside of your mind. Your mind is the Buddha. Your mind is the awakened space. It's very confusing. My mind is my problem. I want to know how to go beyond my mind, how to stay away from my mind. Now, here, he's saying, become the mind. Don't try to run away from it. Don't try to search for anything within the mind, because you are the mind and that is your Buddha nature. It can be understood. Words have to be interpreted. For Bodhidharma, mind is not what the mind is filled with. If there is a cup and there is something in the cup, when we talk about the mind, we are generally talking about the contents of the cup. The mind is noisy, the mind is depressing, the mind is fearful, the mind is angry. But what are we really talking about? We're really talking about what the mind has become infested with. We are talking about the sickness of the mind. We're talking about all that the mind is not. We're talking about what the mind is reflecting. We are not seeing the mind itself as something that has to be realized. Because every time we talk about the mind, we stand in front of it and we are only talking about ourselves. We are reflecting on our own ways of understanding and connecting with mind. What Bodhidharma says is, You are not the reflection. You are not the movement. You are not the changing. You are the mind itself. You are that pure mirror.